What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic kick butt day today so far. So guys, today's video is going to be packed full of amazing tips for you guys in order to improve your game in Brawl Stars. What we're going to be talking about is 12 different game mechanics that pro players utilize in order to increase their trophy pushing efficiency. And I promise after watching this video and you practice some of these game mechanics that we cover, you'll become much better at Brawl Stars. Now, if you guys were not aware, in the ESL, my team and I managed to take third place amongst hundreds of different players in the entire tournament, making it through 3 different elimination rounds and making it to the top 4 best teams in this entire tournament. Now, the reason I say this is because there was a lot of high-level pro gameplay practice / training that my team and I went through in order to make it as far as we did. So being in that environment for as long as we were, training for about a month before the ESL, we managed to acquire a lot of different useful information involving mechanics that we're going to be going over in today's video, or just playing at a high pro caliber level. So the mechanics that you're going to be seeing in today's video are drawn from that experience, as well as playing amongst other pro players for as long as we did in order to practice for the ESL. So I hope you guys are pumped up. Let's get into the very first mechanic. So the very first mechanic that we're going to be discussing involves Nita's super, specifically the placement of Nita's bears. Now, there's a few mistakes that I see being made with the placement of Nita's bear. There's a few things that you want to make certain, and that is to get value out of the bear placement. You want the added pressure that the bear provides once you place it on the ground. One thing you want to avoid is to throw your super in the middle of 3 different enemy teammates so that they can take it out right away. You want to get some time for the bear to be able to pressure the enemy team. So what I recommend is placing it against one other individual so that they have to deal with it by themselves. What this does is it allows you to win your lane, so the brawler that you're going up against is distracted by that bear, or in a different scenario they'll have to have one of their teammates help them to take down the bear. And what this does, it allows one of your teammates to win their lane with the brawler that went over to assist their teammate to take down the bear. Mechanic number 2 piggybacks off of mechanic number 1, and that also involves Nita's bear. Say for example you're playing up against someone in lane that's really good at taking out your bear super quickly, like a tank or a high DPS brawler like a Pam or a Colt. What you want to do in that situation to get the most value out of your supers is to drop your bear in the very back of your spawn. What this does, it allows you to gain time to charge up your super again while the bear is coming up into lane before it gets taken out. This way, once the bear is destroyed, you'll be really close to getting your super by chipping away at your enemy units, and then once it's destroyed, you'll have another bear very soon. Back-to-back bears like that gives you and your teammates so much useful time in order to carry out objectives such as gem grab, picking up gems, while the enemy teammate is constantly trying to kill your bears. Mechanic number 3 deals with Beau and how useful he can be in the meta. If you guys weren't aware, the best gem carry right now in the game is Pam, and arguably one of the best brawlers in the entire game is Pam. For the longest time in the last meta, it was hard to find a brawler that could counter Pam in the gem grab role. Surprisingly, with the damage increase to Beau's attack in the last balance change, he does a fair job at countering Pam. One thing to keep in mind about why Pam is so good at the gem carry role and beats a lot of the other gem carriers out is because of her long range chip damage as well as her accuracy with that damage. Other gem carriers struggle against her because of their lack of range, such as Poco, or their lack of accuracy, such as Penny and Jessie. Where Beau differs on the spectrum is that he has long range as well as he deals really good damage at that maximum range, even if you only land 1 arrow. Another reason why Beau is a really good matchup against Pam is because of the healing radius of Pam's super. If you manage to shoot your mines within that healing radius, it takes away the value from it. 1, because it deters the enemy teammates from clustering within that healing station radius unless they go one by one destroying the mines, which takes a lot of valuable time away from gathering or going for the objectives. Or number 2, you can get lucky and they forget about your mines, so once they funnel in to get healed up, they'll take damage from your mines that you placed there long ago. The 4th game mechanic involves Spike, and you definitely see this at high level pro gameplay, and it's very easy to get used to, and that is being able to use the non-predictable ricocheted shots off Spike's bomb in order to hit people around walls. The easiest ricocheted Spike explosion to line up are the ones that shoot out straight left or straight right in order to nick someone right around a wall. However, it starts to get a little bit more advanced when you're actually trying to aim the ones that go at different angles. But practice definitely makes perfect. So this is so incredibly useful for winning your lane because you're able to keep the enemy brawlers damage that you're going up against. We see this ability to be very good, being able to keep brawlers from healing up in brawlers like Ricochet or Crow or Pam, so that you can win your lane from that constant chip chip damage pressure. So I highly recommend that you practice this in game. Make sure to shoot your shot at its maximum range where someone is standing straight left or straight right and hit them with one of your ricochet shots, making them so they can't heal back up. Mechanic number 5 deals with ricochet star power, and if you don't happen to have ricochet star power, I still highly recommend that you practice this mechanic for that day. Once you actually do max out Rico, it'll come in handy. What ricochet star power does is it increases the amount of damage per bullet if you bounce one of your shots. Now, 80 damage may not sound like a lot, but if you're talking per bullet, that damage can really add up against other opponents or objectives that you're going for. One thing you see pro players do all the time with Rico and Heist, if the moment calls for it, is to use their bounce shots off the wall so that they bounce it off the back wall and then deal that extra added damage to the safe once it comes back. Now, this is especially useful if you happen to have his super while you're trying to do this, giving you that extra range as well as that piercing damage to shoot through that safe and deal damage to other enemy units that may be guarding the safe. One thing to keep in mind with his star power is that you don't get the added damage when you shoot through someone and then the damage comes back and hits them. The opponent that you're shooting initially with the shot will take the damage without the increase to his attack if it goes through him first. What you want to do is bounce it off of something and then hit him to get that extra added damage. Mechanic number 6 involves Mortis on Brawl Ball. Though his ability to be a really efficient ball scorer is kind of taken away with him in this last set of balance changes, he still can be a really great hyper-aggressive aggro with a very unique ability of blocking shots. If you swipe as soon as someone is trying to pass the ball, say with their super in the clip that you're seeing, you can stop that shot, pick it up, and score the goal. Now, this is really useful if someone is just trying to clear the ball on the enemy team. If you have that really great pressure pushing them back as you're seeing in the clip, it allows you to totally break their whole entire ability to clear that ball and then walk it in like you're seeing in the clip. Mechanic number 7 is also in Brawl Ball, and it involves brawlers that have environmental clearing with their super. Brawlers such as Frank, Primo, or Colt are really good at this. Basically, what you want to do is hold the ball, you're carrying the ball as the ball scorer, shoot the ball, then use your super to clear the path of where the ball is going to go simultaneously. This way, the enemy team won't necessarily expect what you're doing, and they won't be guarding the goal in the same way that they would if the wall wasn't there. This can allow you to get one of those really good surprise goals that the enemy team won't be expecting. Mechanic number 8 involves predicting movements with skill shot brawlers. Whenever you're playing up against an opponent while you are using a skill shot brawler, it's very important to read the enemy's movements. A lot of the time, the enemy player will use the same exact patterns of movements in order to dodge your shots. This is fundamentally why you see pro players always landing their shots while they're using skill shot brawlers, is because they're constantly reading the patterns of movements that their enemy teammates are using. Say you're using Piper and you're going up against an enemy Brock, and every single time you shoot your shot, he's strafing to the right preemptively to dodge your shot. Make sure to keep this in mind so that you can aim a little bit further right, knowing that he's going to be in that exact position. I see this mistake a lot with players who aren't so good with skill shot brawlers or are decent using them, where they are shooting somewhat random, where they're trying to guess where they might be. Take one step further to actually calculate where they might be, and then use that to your advantage to actually line up your shot and deal that damage. While we're on the topic of long-range skill shot brawlers, brings us into mechanic number 9, and that is making sure to stay behind your aggro brawlers or support brawlers that you're playing with. If you are on the backlines as the long-range shooter and your other two teammates are kind of duking it out in the middle of the map, this takes a lot of focus from you, making it much easier to line up your shots while the other opponents on the enemy team aren't necessarily paying attention to you. I see this mistake a lot with people playing skill shot brawlers, where if they land one individual shot, they might overextend pushing past their teammates so that they're the main focal point for the enemy team to either shoot at or they're just paying attention to, making it much harder to land that crucial shot. Mechanic number 10 deals with Daryl's star power, arguably one of the best star powers in the entire game. A lot of people kind of overlook the 40% reduced damage that actually does. If you take a look at it in a different way, a maxed out Daryl has 5,600 health, and while he has his star power activated, he takes 40% reduced damage. Now, if you multiply that by max health, basically adding that 40% to his maximum health, he has a grand total of 7,840 total health. Now, granted, that doesn't give him the highest health in the entire game. Obviously, Primo and Frank have a little bit higher health. However, with the mechanics that Daryl has, being that he has a rechargeable super as well as his incredible aggro pressure, it allows him to be a very threatening brawler once he has that star power activated. Which is why sometimes you'll see pro players use their super over and over again, not save it for the next push while they're behind enemy lines while the other teammates are focusing on them, so they get that added health, get that added reduced damage while they're going up against those enemy teammates. Mechanic number 11 comes into play on any Brawl Ball map that has bodies of water. If you kick the ball on the body of water and it gets stuck, it will slowly roll off until it gets to the actual solid ground. Why we're seeing pro players doing this is because it's a very efficient way to clear the ball and give you a few extra seconds to either respawn or just get regrouped back in your lanes. If the body of water is big enough, you can get a lot of time in order to regroup for your team and allow you to prolong the match if you're either up or if you're just in a very precarious situation where the enemy team is coming and pressuring very, very hard. Now, there is a lot of talk about this mechanic in the Brawl Stars community, and I'm assuming that it's going to be taken out of the game very, very soon. But while it is still in the game and other people are utilizing it, make sure you are as well. And the final mechanic that we're going to be covering involves Colt and Ricochet, some of the most unique brawlers in the entire game, one of the highest DPS brawlers in the entire game. What you want to do with Colt, obviously you want to lead your shots where brawlers are going to be running, as well as mirror their movements. So if they're going to the left, you want to be strafing to the left while you're lining up your shots, trying to get as much damage all those shots to land. Now, one thing I see pro players do all the time is somewhat of a dancing mechanic while they're shooting with their brawlers. Say, for example, they're shooting straight on a bull, and you see them constantly strafing back and forth, trying to actually mirror every single individual movement. So while you're shooting your shots with Rico or Colt, don't be stagnant with your movements, because more than likely, if they're strafing to the left and you're mirroring that movement, they're going to be cutting back right, so that they're not going to take all those shots that you're shooting at him. So the dancing mechanic allows him to keep the pattern. If they do strafe right, you can dance to the right, making sure that you're lining up a little bit more shots than you would if they would just cut right and you missing all those ones while you're strafing to the left. Also, make sure to keep in mind that Colt and Rico are those types of brawlers that it just takes a lot of matches to get used to. Pro players are good with those brawlers because they play with them a lot. So if you aren't super good with Colt or Rico, practice these mechanics while playing several games over and over. You'll become a really, really good brawler once you start getting used to some of those little quirks that are really, really important, but just take time to get used to. Alrighty guys, so those are the 12 different pro level game mechanics that you guys should all know about and practice in order to improve your game. I hope it was helpful. If you did find it helpful, make sure to leave a like on the video. I'd really, really appreciate that. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button down below and being a part of the Rave fam. Also, if you could, make sure to leave in the comments down below what else you need help with in Brawl Stars. I want to make sure that you guys have all the information that you need to know in order to excel in this game as a player that you want to be. So guys, with that being said, make sure to keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.